Hello there guys, Francis Gray here and welcome back to a brand new video build, and in today's video we are going to be making the infamous Cenobite cube from the Hellraiser franchise. Should be a good one. I'll see you after this. Okay guys, welcome back to a brand new video build, and in today's video we're going to be making the Cenobite puzzle box from the Hellraiser franchise. So I've already went ahead and I bought this. This is a 3D print of the puzzle box. Now I already had the files to print one myself, but I saw these at HorrorCon in Sheffield when I attended with my family earlier in the year. And there was a guy on there who had a stall, and I believe it was titled Arcade Prints. I might be wrong about that, but if I'm correct, there'll be a link to their their website, so you can check them out for yourself. But this was very reasonably priced. So off the top of my head, I think it was either £15 or £20. I can't really remember, but when I saw it, I thought for the price, it'll save me a lot of headache going home and printing one off. So this was definitely a must buy for the day. So as you can see there, it's got all the different sides and designs from the actual puzzle box from the movie. And then the only other part that you got with it was this funky looking stand. So it's supposed to go something like that. Okay, so we've got obviously a nice base for it, and we've got the cube itself. Now I want to go ahead and I want to house this in a bell jar. So in order to make a bell jar, I went ahead and I bought this off a yard sale or a car boot sale. It was actually a car boot sale, but I know American viewers don't really know what we mean when we say car boot sale, or flea market if you like. And as you can see, it features a very dapper looking Mr. Fox, but obviously we don't need a dapper Mr. Fox, because as far as I can remember there wasn't a dapper Mr. Fox in the movie, so we need to get him out of there. So usually these are held in place with really strong adhesive, so the only way to prise this dome off so we can work on the insides is to attack this with some heat, and hopefully there isn't any cracks that makes this break.
Five minutes later.
Awesome. Okay, you may see there, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's still steam rising up from the base itself. So yeah, it's kind of took the gold paint off, but that's fine. We can go ahead and sand that later. So for the next stage we need to go ahead and remove Mr. Fox. Ah, okay. Mr. Fox just broke. Ah, okay. So that is why he broke, because it was like a pin system that kept him in place. So yeah, the more you know. So so for the next stage we're going to go ahead and leave this to cool down, and then we can go ahead and give it a good clean up. Okay, so now that we've got this a lot more smoother, we need to go ahead and add something intricate and interesting in the middle here. And I kind of want it to be like in itself look a bit like it could be a puzzle box holding up the main puzzle box, so to speak, just to keep with the aesthetic. Just to keep up with the aesthetic. Just to keep up with the look of Hellraiser. So these I actually found in a free box outside a charity shop, and at first I didn't know what they were, but later on I found these in a shop called The Works in England, and basically there's supposed to be like the connecting struts here, here and here, and then they fit into this, and then it was basically just something for you to put your paintbrushes in, or your pens or pencils, etc. But these parts were missing, so it's just these two. And yeah, what waste not, want not. I think this would be fantastic. So it's roughly the same diameter, as you can see. That is pretty bang on, but unfortunately it does mean that the bell jar won't go over the top of it, because it's the exact same diameter as the bell jar. But yeah, there's no way around that. I'll have to model it. Well, I can model a way around it, but there's no way of just like fitting this in. I can't just take these sides off, because then it would look just weird, just being like the centre bit with a few bits sticking out. So I like it as is, but we need to go ahead and build something or 3D print something that'll house these in place, and then the bell jar can fit on top. So more on that later. But for now, as you can see, this with this on top, that works really well. So to start things off, I am going to go ahead and put this into my scanner, so I can get a realistic scan of the pattern, and then we can go ahead and do some artistic license. Okay, so I started off with the bottom circle, and then I scanned it into the computer, and then I uploaded it into a software called Clip Studio Paint, and then I basically just converted it into a black and white stencil image, and then just deleted the black part and then transferred the white parts back to black, so we've got a nice basic outline. And then I pre-selected some key parts to the inside. Basically these are going to be made up of like individual looking keys that match the same design that's on the actual puzzle box itself. So in order to do that, I found this online, which was like a reference image to the design on all sides of the cube, and then basically just overlaid those designs, shrunk some down so they fit these individual keys perfectly, and then I just basically saved it as 3 different versions of PNG files, so the background will be nice and transparent. And then I swapped it over to another software called Matter Control, where I imported these images and basically just laid them as a layer height of like 1mm, 2mm, and then basically just overlap them and build them up so they look like a bunch of keys that we can 3D print, and they should in theory slot straight into the designated spaces. So now that we've got the files ready, let's go ahead and print them off.
Three hours later.
Okay, so these printed rather nicely, so let's bring them back into the main workbench. Okay guys, so here we are back from the print bed, and as you can see there, these worked out really well. So I know at the moment they look like chunks of pineapple, but don't worry, black prime will soon sort that. So they are printed in the order that they should fit in, so I need to refigure out which corner was which. I'm presuming that was for that one up there. So before we go ahead and add these, I need to go ahead and clean these. So I might have to go ahead and do these in sections so I know what belongs where. So for the next part now, this is not going to work, unfortunately. These are slightly too big, so I have been trying to like smooth them down. So as you can see there, I've been taking the sanding bit to it, and some of them have fit in place, but I've found that the more I'm adding, the more the case is cracking. And it's starting to crack on the bottom one as well. So yeah, unfortunately I can't see this working at all. So I'm going to go ahead and retrace my steps. So there's no point me continuing on with the idea as it is. So what I'm going to do is, thankfully, because I've scanned in this design in the computer, I have a file that I can work from. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the previous steps that I've already created, and I'm going to try and recreate something in matter control that we can print off, and it's all going to just be one layer or one piece that can just be glued to the base. So good idea, but unfortunately it just didn't work. So you got to roll with the cards that you're dealt. Okay, so there's no point wasting what we've made, so I'm going to go in with a heat gun, heat this up, and then I'm going to try and fill this middle hole out with the filament that's wasted. Okay, so melted down PLA can be useful to fill in gaps like this. That's probably the best use I've found for knackered old prints, but please be aware it does get mega hot and you need a decent breathing respirator because the fumes are slightly toxic. So after a bit more work in matter control, I came up with this, which is basically the 3 different PNG files that I previously made, stacked up on top of each other and then saved as one single STL file. So this should be a lot more easier to print. So without further ado, let's go ahead and print that off. Okay guys, so as you can see it is printed, and I have to admit I'm happy with the finished results. So it just goes to show you that just because a project goes wrong and you can sometimes feel a bit disheartened, if you just crack on and maybe think out the box and approach it from a different angle, it actually works out better. So because I did it in 3 different layers, like 3 different heights, it does look like something that you could like move around, and yeah, so it's its own like kind of little puzzle box, which I think will lend itself to the overall look. Fantastic. So there's a few little seam lines on the edges that I'll need to attend with soon, but I'll do that off camera because just watching me sand something's a bit boring. So let's go ahead and test it up against the base, and as you can see there, that bit of melted PLA filament, after a bit of sanding, filled that out beautifully. So I'm over the moon with that. Okay, so a moment of truth, does it fit? Okay, so it definitely fits in the middle. So I'll just quickly put the bell jar over it, and also I went ahead and cleaned it up because there was all bits of stuck on glue from before. So it took me about 2 hours to clean this, but all's well that ends well. So yes, fits perfect. So yes, fantastic. We're back on schedule, and yeah, so yeah, Operation Cleanup's a go.
Let's move, 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 move!
15 minutes later.
Okay, so after dealing with the seam lines going around the side, this is now ready to attach to this. So in order to make sure that it has a nice connection, I'm going to go ahead with a sharp scalpel and we're going to add some zigzag score marks. And now I'm going to go in with some Yoo-hoo glue. And I'm going to use this to weight down. Okay, that looks about right. I'll go ahead and leave that to dry. Okay, so for the next part I'm going to go ahead and take this into the spray booth. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with at least one coat of a nice matte black. Okay, so now that this is nicely black primed, for the next stage I'm going to go in with a gold highlighter pen. Okay, that does not seem to be working very well for some reason. Yeah, the gold seems to be fading. Okay, looks like we're going to have to go in with some gold paint. So for the next stage I'm going to go in with some glorious gold from Game Colour. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a nice flat straight edge brush.
Get the idea.
And after dry brushing 3 different layers on all surfaces, for the next stage I'm going to go in with a fine line paintbrush and we're going to go ahead and paint on that gold edge. So for the next part, now you see where we've been dry brushing, we've accidentally gone into some of the darker recesses. So I'm just going to go in with just some everyday black acrylic and we're going to try and tidy those up. And then back in with some glorious gold from Game Colour and we're just going to go ahead and add some edge highlights.
I like it a lot.
So after painting all that, the oval base should be nicely dried now. So I started off by taking the spray booth and I sprayed the underside first, a nice coat of gloss black, and then I went over with some gloss varnish so it's nicely protected. And then just to make sure that we don't get no unwanted scratch marks on this, I went in with 4 felt pads and then just stuck them in all like north east south west kind of corners, and once flipped back over 180 degrees, hopefully that should not be scratched anymore. So yeah, so now that it's facing the right way, I'm just going to go back in, but this time with some matte black, and we're going to go ahead and try and get into all the nooks and crannies. Okay, so for the next part I need to go ahead and paint this gold, but it's not going to be pure gold, it's going to be a dry brush of gold. So we want to try and capture some of the darker recesses and the nooks and crannies. Just goes a long way to adding detail. So in order to do that, I'm going to go in with some glorious gold from Game Colour and we're going to go in with a makeup brush. And then I went in with a black paint pen and I just made sure I got into all the nooks and crannies just to really sell the illusion that these are intricate designs on these little patterns. Okay, so that black pen seemed to work a treat. Now for the next stage we need to go ahead and darken down the gold only slightly. So I'm going to go in with a bit of a black wash, but I'm going to go ahead and water it down as I go and then mop up the excess. Then hopefully that'll make the gold look a little bit more aged. And now the same on the outside. And now in order to make a match, I'm going to do the exact same with the cube itself. Then I went back in with more of that glorious gold, and then I went ahead and did a dry brush over that triangle connector base, and then hopefully that will look a lot more closer resemblance wise to both the cube and the circular base. Okay guys, so for the next part we need to go ahead and super glue this part in place. Now it is really important that we actually get this bang on exactly where it needs to be in the middle, because if it's a little bit to the left or to the right, when you add the cube you will see it. When you add the bell jar over the top you will see it like so. It'll stand out like a sore thumb. So we need to go ahead and make sure that this is bang on in the middle. So I've had a little bit of a play around and this seems to be the most natural place for it to stand. So it's on all corners or on like a raised ledge. Anywhere else it was like two of them would fit but the third one wouldn't. So this is the way it has to be. But if it all goes well, I'm going to be totally happy with that. Okay, I think that's probably about as best as I'm going to get that. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the cube just to definitely make sure it doesn't stand out. Okay, at first glance I think that is going to work really well. So I'll go ahead and I'll leave that to dry. So for the next part we're back into the spray booth and we're going to go ahead and hit this with maybe 2 coats of a nice gloss varnish, and then that'll really go a long way to sell the metallic look. So we're going to do both the cube and we're also going to go ahead and do the oval base as well. Okay, so now that these are being gloss varnished and the paintwork is nicely protected, for the next part we need to go ahead and add A to B. So we need to go ahead and add a little bit of super glue into these top little connecting little dots here, and then carefully put the Cenobite cube in position. Now this is going to be very tricky because if you don't get it exactly right, it doesn't line up to the corners from this to this, if that makes any sense. So it can be a little bit different. So we need to go ahead and try and get it bang on first try. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes well. So in order to start this off, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of super glue. Okay, I think I like that display the most. Okay, I think that is probably about as best as we're going to get that for now. So instead of hitting it with the applicator so it instantly hardens, I'm going to not do that because for two reasons. One, I don't want it to accidentally interact with the gloss varnish that we've just applied, and two, I've also found in the past, even though it's fantastic at hardening superglue straight away, it tends to discolor, or it tends to like go like a phosphorus white kind of effect. So yeah, just natural drying is the best for this right now. So I'm going to come back in a couple of hours.
Later, in the void.
Okay, so for the next part I want to go ahead and make these parts a little bit more interesting and connected, because it feels like this is just like tacked on just in between. So I'm going to go in with these little cubes which I've just made, and a little dab of super glue on the back, and then hopefully we can just put them in place, and we can make this look a little bit more visually interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same to the other sides.
Soon after.
So for the next part we need to go ahead and secure the bell jar in place. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to put 4 dots, one on each corner, and then we're carefully going to try and put the bell jar in place. And once that had hardened, I do believe we are finished.
We have such sights to show you.
Okay guys, so here it is, all finished, and I have to admit that has turned out rather nice. I'm really happy with this, and it's much better this rather than just like a dapper looking Mr. Fox model. So if you've enjoyed this build, please hit that like button, share it on Facebook and X, because it helps new people find the YouTube channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you for any help. And the channel's current goal is to get to 3,000 subscribers, and I can only get there with your help, so any help is greatly appreciated. If you have any comments, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future builds, and we have got some really cool stuff lined up. And yeah, if you want to be a legendary viewer, please take 5 minutes to check out my Patreon page, where with your help and support we can do these videos a whole lot more, so there's a lot more content for you guys and a bit more work for me. So all that being said, thank you for watching. I'm Francis Gray, and this is the Cenobite cube from the awesome Hellraiser franchise. I'll see you in the next build.